So let's get more on that with Matthew Brodsky, a senior fellow with the Security Studies Group. And Matthew, as we heard from Nina, the U.S. isn't really doing much despite repeated warnings to the Assad regime and the Russians not to attack that de-escalation zone. Why not? Why is the U.S. not getting involved?
Well, it would seem that the Trump administration has pretty much made its decision that he wants to pull the United States out. Now, this is a big problem because it leaves Israel in a bit of a situation right here, which basically means Israel needs to figure out that it has to look after itself by itself now, which I believe is what Netanyahu plans to talk with Putin about next week. So it would seem that the Trump administration is going to try to come up with some grand bargain with Russia when they have a summit. Syria is supposed to be a big topic at that time. Unfortunately, there isn't a grand deal to be made. Russia can't be trusted, and the administration doesn't seem to understand that. Now, what this means for Israel is that they can't wait around for someone else to take care of this. They can't declare a red line and say that we want all Iranian forces to be out of Syria, period. And yet we have proof. We know, we've seen photos there. The Iranian forces, not just Iran, but Hezbollah, their different proxies, trading uniforms. We know that they're all gathered and getting closer to the Golan Heights. So it makes zero sense from an Israeli perspective to allow Assad to retake all the land up to the Israeli side of the Golan, because it simply means Iran will become entrenched there. It's against Israeli interests. Israel has to decide that it's going to enforce its red line, because unfortunately, I don't think the Trump administration is going to do much except for say Israel has the right to do whatever.
And Matthew, we just saw, in fact, some video of those tents that have been set up on the Syrian side near the Golan Heights. And amongst all of those refugees, if you will, are people holding signs begging for help. What, if anything, should Israel, and perhaps for that matter, Jordan, what should they be doing on a humanitarian basis to try to help them while at the same time protecting the border?
I think Israel has had a good policy for a long period of time. It's good neighbor policy. It is one of the only countries that's really doing anything with this within the this current offensive that the regime is making. So dropping off tents, providing humanitarian aid, working with other NGOs that it's identified that aren't literally going to end up giving that away to Assad and his cronies. I think that's good. But of course, Israel isn't going to allow refugees to stream across into the Golan. And Jordan obviously has taken its, well beyond its fair share. But again, Jordan has a different take on what, Jordan would like to have Assad controlling its border routes, because it would like to resume trade through the Nasib crossing and the other crossing. Israel, of course, doesn't have trade with Syria, so it's a tough situation, but they're doing what they can. The best thing to do is to stop the offensive, which is what the de-escalation zones were supposed to do, which Russia is obviously continuously violating, which was the plan all along.
I want to go back to the Trump administration for a moment, because I remember Mr. Trump blasting Obama for letting the Syrians cross a red line. But here you have the Trump team threatening the Syrians, threatening the Russians, do not attack that area, but not following up with those threats. Aren't they allowing the Syrians to cross a red line as well?
Well, to play devil's advocate to that, President Trump didn't actually say that, though certainly the State Department did and Nikki Haley did. And of course, if you ask me, that's what our policy should be. You can't just unilaterally break the de-escalation zones. That was a deal made with the United States. So Trump is able to whatever the administration has been saying, Trump has held a very consistent line, which is, I want to get out of Syria. I don't want to own any of it, and I'd like to turn it over. Of course, I believe that that is the wrong decision and that we could do a lot with a little. But again, I think from Israel's perspective, they have to become aware of that. They have to accept that and realize that Trump still has Israel's back, unlike the Obama administration. So it's time for Israel to do more, because its policy that it has run up until 2015 when Russia got involved, and up till now, it's falling short of its objectives, especially if Iran continues to get a foothold where Syria is allowing it to with this offensive.
Matthew Brodsky, he's a fellow with the Security Studies Group. Matthew, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it.